Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us for the segment, we have Guerra, Chief Product Officer of Nasdaq-listed ACI Worldwide, to discuss how major players in the payment space are using AI and machine learning tools to better serve their customers and enable an improved experience for their end users. Debbie, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Thanks, Jill. It's a pleasure to be with you today.
You got it. ACI Worldwide has a unique vantage point for how money flows and technology are impacting the global economy and individual markets. What trends are you seeing that you think will have the greatest impact on the future of payments?
You know, I tell you, the payments ecosystem is one that is complex, global, rapidly changing, and is at the heart of the day-to-day experience of consumers, banks, merchants, billers across the globe. And so when we look at what are the trends shaping this space, I think there's probably three that are top of mind for us anyway. The first is this idea of embedded, whether it's embedded payments as an experience, where payments is part of that consumer journey, where payments are initiated in applications via your mobile phone, online, and embedded finance. So this idea of embedded payment as a service, banking as a service, is really taking shape and showing up very differently. The second is really around personalization, and it's personalization that's driven by data. And you know, when you think about data and how it's going to feed a lot of the AI and machine learning capabilities as tools, how we're going to be able to leverage some new messaging formats in the banking space for richer, deeper services that banks can offer their customers and that merchants can offer consumers. I think this idea of personalization is going to be very important. And then third is just going to be the rapid proliferation of real-time payments and being able to deliver real-time account-to-account payments in a safe and secure manner. And that's going to be particularly punctuated by FedNow's release of their system in July.
How would you describe the state of bank fraud protection globally?
Wow, you know, so the fraud market, if you look ahead, I think by 2027, we're expecting to see financial fraud really hitting about 40.6 billion in losses. So it is a big issue. And with the way that digital payments have evolved so rapidly, particularly spurred, you know, by what we all lived through during COVID, as well as continued use of mobile devices and embedded payments, you know, fraudsters are getting smarter and they're getting digital, and we have to be prepared to shift from old legacy models of combating fraud to really tapping into and leveraging artificial intelligence, machine learning, fraud scoring, and real-time fraud protection systems that can outwit and outsmart some of the fraudsters.
The launch of FedNow in late July stands to significantly increase the volume and speed of payments across the U.S. Will we see an uptick in the amount of fraud or new types of fraud following the launch?
Yeah, you know, that's a great question. You know, I think first we have to see whether it's through FedNow or even the clearinghouse, which exists today, broad consumer adoption of real-time payments in the U.S. But with that is going to come a need for financial institutions and consumers to really be smart and protect themselves against scams. And how do scams show up in real time? It could be the creation of synthetic identities to create fake accounts. It could be fraudsters actually victimizing consumers and using phishing and other scams to get them to initiate an account-to-account payment. So it's going to be really important that real-time payments systems through FedNow also take advantage of fraud management capabilities that are fine-tuned for, you know, that new kind of fraud that's going to be showing up.
What other challenges could the launch of FedNow bring on for U.S. banks? For example, could it destabilize banks' reliance on customer cash? And if so, how would you advise banks to address this issue?
Yeah, it's a great question. There was a recent Wall Street Journal article, laying out some concerns on that front. When you look at, we do not believe that there's a fundamental risk in destabilization of deposits or runs on the banks with the proliferation of real-time payments. The U.S. is actually behind many other countries that have already deployed and are really seeing great adoption of real-time payments and have not seen, concerns with runs on the bank or fragility in the banking system. And there are protections that are built in, as well as limits that the banks can actually put in place on the size of the transfers, the quantity, and the timing. So, I think our view is with what we've seen, whether it's in India or Brazil, Malaysia, Philippines, in the Middle East, the UK, we don't believe that we're going to see similar challenges causing a negative impact in the US banking system.
How are companies like ACI Worldwide leveraging artificial intelligence and machine learning technologies to help financial institutions detect and stop fraud?
Yeah, it's interesting because AI has several flavors, and right now generative AI is all in the news, right? Large language models, but it's also based on neural networking, and we've been using machine learning for more than 20 years in our fraud management systems, and we've also patented artificial intelligence using something called incremental learning that allows those models to learn and to stay current and to be really driven to address fraud as it occurs. And so for us, machine learning and AI has been a part of our DNA for some time. What's changing now, though, is really the need to rapidly enhance solutions and to deploy them more aggressively in the face of changing fraud patterns. We also see some new use cases for AI showing up in the payment space beyond fraud, whether that's dynamic routing of transactions, personalization, suggestions for example, prompting a consumer to pay with a preferred payment method, or even automation of some of the front office. Think of it as credit checking processes, or on the back office, automation of risk and compliance activities.
Beyond fraud detection, how are major players in the payment space using AI and ML tools to better serve their customers and enable an improved experience for their end users?
Yeah, and I think one of them that I just mentioned was personalization, so that as a consumer, I'm going to, be able to be served opportunities, options, payment approaches, payment methods that might make the most sense for me, as well as offers. And I think that's something that we expect to see more of. I mentioned routing of transactions. So for merchants, it's really important that transactions are often routed to the best cost processor, for example, or the processor that is most likely to authorize and approve a transaction. So things like dynamic routing and payments could be very important.
All right. We appreciate the insight, Debbie. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Thanks so much, Jill. Take care.